Hi readers, today is all about making your independent reading great. Every year that you practice reading, you're going to get better and better, and this year we have a few tips. First, you need to know what you really like to read. So if you love nonfiction informational books, you want to know where those are, and you want to be able to find them in your classroom and on Epic. Some other types of reading that you may love: fantasy involving magic. Some of you really enjoy real stories about people's lives. I've seen some of you pick books about survival or adventure stories. Some of you really like stories that happen at school. But another tip we can give you is to be open to try new books and new genres. You may have never picked up a fantasy book before, but it may be that it turns out you really like fantasy. So be able to find the books that you know you love, but be open to trying new things. You want to get comfortable. When I'm at home and I'm getting ready to read, I find a spot where I can be comfortable for a long time. So at school, you may be comfortable just sitting at your desk, but you may want to ask if you can sit somewhere on the floor, or perhaps another space where you can be distanced from others. At home, you may also have a desk that you enjoy reading and it helps you focus there. Or maybe if you're at home, you may like to read on the floor or the couch or maybe a comfy chair. Most of all, you need to make sure you can find a quiet space. Reading means you need to be able to focus, so you don't want to be reading around a lot of noisy members of your family or in a noisy classroom. You may also want to use headphones if you're listening to a book. But a really important tip is that you need to interact with the text. So when you find a part that's really important, you want to mark it, because that important part is probably going to be a place that you want to visit again later. You also want to make some sticky notes. Sticky notes where you can jot your questions, your wonderings, or your ahas, like, I figured that out. Now, this year we're going to be doing a lot of online reading, and there are ways that you can interact with the text on a digital book, and we're going to show you how to do that. Before we get to that, remember, you can still read paper books, and we encourage you to do that. It's also a good time for you to take a break from your screen. So if there's a paper book that you can see in the school or in your classroom library, just fill out a request card and we'll make sure that we get it to you. This is an example of some Post-it notes that I wrote in a book I'm reading called Schooled. I wrote, "Who is Rain?" It was a character whose name kept coming up over and over again, but they had not identified who she was. Eventually, I collected some details. She's 67 years old, she climbs trees, she lets her 13-year-old grandson drive. Turns out, she's his grandma. Over to the right, I jotted down a quote from the text. When Rain fell out of a tree, her grandson said, "My terror is total. Rain was everything to me." And it showed me that they have a really strong relationship. These are just two types of sticky notes, and tomorrow I'm going to get into other types of notes that you can write while you're reading. All of you know how to take a screenshot. This is a digital book. I simply took a screenshot of it and I wrote on the screenshot. Now, you may be able to write on screenshots, but you may want to write a sticky note. So we're going to show you how to create a sticky note on a digital text. This is a good idea, especially when there's not much space on the page for you to write. So watch this video clip to see how to make a digital sticky note. Right now, I am reading a book in Epic, and I just read something amazing about how a teenager was able to lift a car in order to save their parent. Now, I think this is pretty amazing, and I want to make a sticky note on this page. So all I have to do is take a screenshot. Now that I've taken a screenshot, I'm going to click on the screenshot in the lower left-hand corner. Now, I want to send this to Notability. So in the upper right-hand corner, I'm going to click the box with the arrow coming out of the top. Now I have the choice of sending it to Notability. So I'm going to click Notability. And now it's going to give me the chance to create a new note. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new note. And don't forget, in the upper right-hand corner, you have to click Import. Now it's done, so you can just close this out and go to Notability. Now, as long as I click on the big T, I have the option to expand the page. Now, I want to add a sticky note. So, I'm going to find the plus sign in the upper right-hand corner. The plus sign gives me a drop-down menu, and stickies are at the very bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and click Stickies. And I'm just going to pick a blank sticky, and the sticky shows up on the page. Now, that's not a very big sticky for me to write in, so I want to make it bigger. Again, I have to make sure that the T is highlighted. Now, I can expand the size of my sticky note. And when I'm ready to write on it, I just have to make sure I click on the pencil. And I'm going to write, "It is amazing how fear can increase our strength." Now, I've added a digital sticky note to a digital text. So, your goals for today are to make sure that you choose a book you really like. Find a comfortable spot free of distractions, and then interact with the text. Use real Post-it notes or use digital Post-it notes on a digital book. Either way, there are lots of ways for you to interact with the books you're reading, to share your wonderings, your questions, your ahas, all of the important things that you're thinking about as you're reading. And be ready to share at the end of the workshop.